Welcome to Social Media Help Desk. This is the time every week when we get together to talk about what's new in social media and all the tips and tricks we're learning here at the agency. I'm here with our Director of Operations, Stephen.
Hello.
And one of our content editors, Olivia.
Hello.
And our office dog, Finn.
Hey, Finn.
Hello, Finn. Who's probably going to sleep through our entire episode, which is fine. Let's talk first about some of the things happening in social media this week. We've talked a lot before about Instagram, and Instagram is making some changes that aren't really setting well with people. And one of those changes is they hid the number of likes that each post get, right? So sometimes people have a lot of ego wrapped up in how many likes a particular post gets, and Instagram is now beta testing across a variety of accounts, hiding those likes so that nobody sees how many likes a photo gets. They say that they want really to concentrate more on the aesthetic and the content of the post and not so much about how the likes go. But the problem is a lot of people make money off how many Instagram likes they get, right? You've heard of influencers that can charge brands to post pictures of their brands based on how many likes each photo gets. So it is causing some unrest. So if it's popular.
Yeah, if it's popular, maybe they will. Or if it's unpopular, but they really, if it doesn't have a lot of likes, but they really like it themselves, maybe they will like it because they want it to show, get more traction. And so it'll be interesting to see if the total engagement drops or increases if they actually hide the number of likes on there.
There is actually something satisfying about hitting the like button and seeing the like count go up.
Of course.
Right? I didn't think I'd be into that, but now that you're saying it, I think about that. So I think I would be less likely to engage if I didn't see the number of likes.
Yeah,
it definitely, I think, speaks towards how much does herd mentality play into the effect of people liking actual photos and interacting with content. And also, sometimes you may come across a post and you might want to like it, but not very many people liked it. So do you want to be one of the people associated with the post? So I think it's really going to be playing into that. And I could definitely see specifically for influencers how that can be cause for concern. And also sometimes you just want to, I know sometimes brands may want to go to another account or competitor's page and see, well, what content is really getting a lot of engagement based off of like counts. And you won't be able to see, well, what's their forte or what's driving my audience. What does my audience like on a competitor's page? If you can't see the likes, you can't see the comments, but that takes a bit more effort.
Yeah.
And comments are typically fewer than likes, right? It's a lot easier just to double tap. And I think this is a shift that Instagram's making overall, because one of the other pieces of news we have this week is that they're putting a lot more emphasis on the Instagram stories. So that's sort of the refreshable content at the top that disappears after 24 hours, kind of a stolen aspect from Snapchat. And they've unveiled new create mode for stories, which allows you to share content beyond videos and photos. Really, it has new sticker options, new polls and questions you can ask, a lot more robust ways of
gaining a lot of steam, and that's where a lot of people are putting the emphasis. You'll see on people's feeds that they have a more they've archived, as we mentioned before, a lot of their photos. They now have a more minimalistic feed, and a lot of their time and effort spent on the platform is spent on stories with that content that you can create, but it disappears. So if you want to be very quick with something and just get something out there, you can do that. But if you also want to curate something a lot more tailored, these features are going to help you also spend more time in that area where people are now putting more of their time.
Yeah.
Well,
I was just going to say that, one of the things I've been thinking about this with the likes is that's one of the ways that you can really tell how authentic a brand is and how engaged their audience is. Because if you don't see that number of likes and in stories, you can't see any information about who's engaged with it or anything other than maybe a poll or something that they do. But it's going to be easier, in my opinion, for Instagram accounts to fake the followers that they have. Because now you can look at an Instagram account that say has 5 million followers, but if they're only getting a handful of likes on each post,
really
then it's okay, well, obviously they've purchased all those fans, or whatever. But now if they get rid of that, then you're going to lose that authenticity piece of it, where it's just going to be here's the content, I have a lot of followers, I must be good. So I could see like there's like a total flip side to this thing that they're trying out here.
And a lot of trust, because now, for example, when brands want to use influencers and influencers can report on their numbers, that number is going to only be visible to the influencer. So
Right.
they can fudge those numbers should they wish to. Or I wonder what they're going to be doing. So for the business side of Instagram and Instagram followers and influencers, when brands want to partner with them, what sort of, I guess, validity or checks will be in place for us to know that an influencer has the following and the engagement that they say if we can't see it ourselves.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, and here at the agency, we do a lot of influencer marketing. We work
Sure.
with those people for our brands, and I think it will change the way we vet them or work with them, you
Yeah.
know, and possibly change the amount of money they can demand
Yep.
for these services, right? Because if
Totally.
I can't validate how many likes you get, I don't know if it's worth paying you thousands of dollars to make that post. Right?
Yeah, no, it's
Might
true.
work out for our clients. Instagram influencers just got cheaper, maybe.
Well, but it also goes back to like if you are building a platform for yourself, don't tie it just to one platform because that platform could change, go away, become less popular. And you know, if Instagram gets rid of likes and that's how you make all your money is off those likes, then okay, now your money is going to be different.
You might have to get a real job.
Right.
Yeah, you're at the mercy of the platform.
Well, and I think that's an important thing. We always say that. We don't own any of these platforms,
No,
right?
no.
It's one of the arguments about why you need a website and an email list and
A
like
diversified portfolio of social media.
yes,
Yeah,
and
social
other
media.
marketing channels, right?
And your website, because you own your website.
That's what I
That's
said.
an
yeah.
important thing. I'm glad we're on the same page, Katie.
It's good. Good. Works out well for our marriage.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to other news. Facebook is focusing on groups, events, and relationships, the headline says. So Facebook, I know we're going to talk a little bit more about this, or maybe we'll just dive into it now. Facebook's recently gone through a change, a facelift,
Yes.
right? A makeover, we're calling it.
Yeah.
Olivia, tell me a little bit about the changes Facebook's made, and let's talk about what that means for users.
So last week, Facebook had their F8 Developers Conference, which they try to have, it looks like, every year, but it may not always happen every year. But basically, it's a conference that they have that's geared towards developers and also people that build their business around Facebook, like entrepreneurs. And they unveil what new service they have, the vision for the company, things like that. And at last week's event, they unveiled a new refresh, a new design of the platform. Initially, it rolled out on mobile, so people started seeing it on their mobile devices in waves. But the desktop will also be going through a rebranding and a refresh, and that will be rolling out over the next few months.
Okay.
So that has been the most obvious change and the most obvious update that we've seen, the new aesthetic. It's more, it's a cleaner, fresher aesthetic with a brighter, more saturated logo at the top, and it's more white instead of like the grays and kind of the muted blue that they had before. And then we're also going to be seeing that on the desktop, as I said, but they've also geared their shift towards the services on the platform to center around your connections and networking and meeting new people. That's been most prominently, with their groups feature. They've made it more accessible. So now you can click on groups and it's on the menu on the bottom on your app. And that way you can more easily access the groups that you engage with. Because according to Facebook, that has become one of the most meaningful and significant forms of where most users find their most meaningful interactions are on the groups, where they're basically small forums where you could chat about your common interests with people.
Yeah, so Facebook itself said they thought that Facebook was becoming a little too much town hall and a little too less living room. For what it's worth, they wanted to be more like a living room. I'll read you the quote. It says, this update will help people focus on expanding their social circles with features like Find New Friends and a new feature called, ready for it, Facebook Dating.
Uh-oh.
I know, Facebook Dating, which they are working on. Sorry, I'm reading one of our blog posts on this, and Audrey, I think, who wrote this blog post, wrote Facebook official soon has a whole new meaning.
Yeah, right.
So I guess if you meet your significant other on Facebook
Yes.
now that's a legitimate thing. You're dating. So they really want to focus on the relationships between you and the people you're connected with, and not so much about just spouting information and fake news and getting it out there, right?
Yeah.
And actually, this is the first time we've seen, or that I remember seeing, a new color for Facebook.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's a big update.
Before, but never changing Facebook Blue.
I know. Well, Facebook Blue is a thing. I mean, you are literally wearing a dress that is Facebook Blue, so you're going to have to get more dresses now that it's going to be this lighter, brighter color.
You heard him give me permission. Right? The shopping is on.
Yeah.
Yes.
But to me, that was a huge change, and it's a pretty significant change in the color. Like, it is a brighter color.
Yes.
It is a different color, and it's kind of like a light, like a teal kind of a color. And it'll be interesting to see. You know, I'd love to know why they chose to do that and why they're deciding to update the branding, because
It's a pretty recognizable brand.
It's a pretty recognizable brand. They've got billions of users, so. It'll be interesting to see how that rolls out.
I'd like to see the market research on that.
My Facebook app hasn't updated yet.
Mine hasn't either.
Has yours?
Yes, mine is.
I think yours updated like the day of.
Mine is sporting the new do.
Yeah. How do you like it?
I quite like it. I felt for a while that the Facebook look is kind of mid 2000s. So I was
2004 as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
I welcome the update, and I'm looking forward to seeing it on my desktop as well.
Yeah.
All right.
It'll be interesting to see how they update the desktop, because I think the desktop feed is tired. I agree with you on that. It's been that way for a while, and it feels very cluttered when I look at it now.
But it's so comfortable and recognizable for people. And I have a slightly different take because I am in the Facebook audience now, right?
Sure.
A lot of the people that are a little bit younger are gravitating towards Instagram and some of that. But people in their, let's say, upper 30s, low 40s are still very much on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And I find the interface to be comforting. Like, I know exactly where everything is. I can use it like the back of my hand. I don't like all those changes. Maybe that's a personality flaw. But, like, I think the younger people want hipper, newer, like, what's the newest thing?
Sure.
Me and all my friends, we just want to be able to use it and not have to learn something new, quite frankly. I got a lot more things to worry about than where they put the groups button.
Yeah, where they put the groups button.
So it's interesting now that the demographic, I think this is what I'm saying, now that the demographic on Facebook has shifted, it'll be interesting to see how these changes are received. Because I don't know if you remember, Stephen, but in the early years of KWSM, they changed the news feed, and I wrote blogs about it. Like, people were all up in arms, and this time it's kind of been under the radar. And maybe we just aren't that into it anymore.
Well, I think that they're also gotten smarter about it, because instead of rolling out huge new changes all at once, they're kind of like doing little changes to certain people and kind of like getting it out there. And that's like a better process, because then they change this one thing, people get used to it. They change another thing, people get used to it, instead of just doing an overhaul. Because I remember people being so upset about that they were like, "I'm going to delete my Facebook page." And I was like, "Okay, well, that's your decision," but it seems silly over design.
Well, I mean, but we've seen that kind of rage over Instagram. What did Instagram do recently that people were so mad about? Not the likes; it was some interface change. I can't remember.
I remember this wasn't recently, but I remember the old. I think it was 2016 they did the kind of their rebranding refresh, when they created the new multicolored logo.
The new logo.
And then they also, and it's more minimalistic, and they went towards a more white, cleaner aesthetic as well. Did. Instead of, they had that Facebook kind of blue color as well.
So gray blue.
So they did that back in 2016, and I remember that as well. But that wasn't, I think maybe people were a bit weird about the logo change, because that was quite a departure from the logo. But
I think maybe what you're referencing was when Instagram decided to go from chronological order to implementing
people were fired up.
Yeah, because that's what Facebook bought them, and then they implemented the algorithm on the Instagram, and so it was no longer an algorithm, or in chronological order, and so
people still contest that.
Yeah, well, I'm with you.
You'll find things from 5 days ago popping up on your feed now.
If
it's based off of who you interact with.
That's true.
But I think maybe that's one of the reasons why people like stories so much, because it brings back that chronological, immediate thing that's going on there.
In the feed, though, but not who they show, whose stories they show you. Because the
true.
Stories they show you is still based on who you interact with.
Who you and watch the most,
So come to the front of the feed, and that's why also live video is very important, because that jumps to the front of the feed if somebody's live that you follow.
Yeah.
So one of the other changes they made to Facebook was to the Messenger app, right? So Messenger got an overhaul. They've separated the messaging feature from the native app. And so a lot of people when they first did that were resistant to it. They didn't want to have to go to a separate a messaging app versus the native app. But now people tend to like it. The new Messenger will be, the new one that they're unveiling now, will be about 20% of the current size of the app on your device, and will focus on your close friends, allowing away messages. So like if I'm not accepting messages right now, I can set my out of Facebook, right?
Interesting.
And then you'll get that. So
Interesting.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think, I have seen people using the Messenger a lot more, but I see it mostly on people trying to sell me things, quite frankly. Like anybody doing MLM, multi-level marketing on Facebook, they message me all the time. People who have, we've listed things like from our garage that we're trying to sell, right? I put that on Facebook Marketplace and people message me about that. But mostly it's commerce or try to be commerce interactions. My friends don't message me to say hey.
No, I don't use Facebook Messenger.
My mother uses it very intensely.
Oh, really?
Really? Okay.
She's the only one I know, though.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone's different, and it also depends on who your friends are and how your friends use it and stuff. So everyone's different, but it's used quite a bit.
Yeah. My friends would text me.
Yeah.
You know, rather than
a different app altogether.
Well, in a previous episode that we did, they were talking about combining the Messenger feature for Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp into a single platform, and then you could cross message people from any one of those platforms.
That is very interesting.
And so that, I don't know, we'll see. This whole Messenger
that
thing.
Sounds very convoluted.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It does. It just, I think there's no going back though.
No.
Like we just keep going further into social media as the way people communicate now.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the way we interact with people we don't know, and now with people we do know really well.
Yeah.
We all have that friend that you haven't seen in forever, but you know what they're doing because you see it on Facebook, and I think a lot of society continues more and more to shift that way.
Yeah.
Good or bad, I mean, you can have your opinions about that, but it's an interesting shift in our time, in our lifetime that we've seen happen.
Yeah.
Olivia, what else do we need to know about Facebook's overhaul? Anything
So,
notable?
In addition to groups, they've had some additional features within the groups that are centered towards the type of group function. For example, they have elevated the features within jobs-related groups. So if an employer is posting a job in a job-related group, there will now be templates that the employer can use to make things easier for them. Or, for example, in health-related groups where people may share their health problems, say you may be like in a cancer survivors group, maybe you want to talk about an issue you had and you want to speak from a place of anonymity. So they're giving you options to now be anonymous when you speak in certain groups where that would make sense. So they're adding features that are specific to the function of the group, and that's something that we're seeing that I think will probably be a welcome change because it's helping to augment the experience for the user. Another thing that we're seeing also towards more in terms of having greater connections with our friends, and as you were mentioning, the Facebook dating app, that's currently not in the US, but they have actually rolled it out to 19 countries.
Wow.
So yeah,
Where did they start, do you know?
I'm not sure where they started, but I'd have to look at the list, but it was when they announced F8 last week, at the F8 announcement last week, they added on 14 new countries that they unveiled it to. Some in Latin America and whatnot, but not here yet. Okay. And within that, they're going to be having Secret Crush, which is a way for you to match with people that you like.
Oh.
That's interesting.
Like I tell Facebook who I like and they put me in there with them?
Something. I think it's some sort of opt-in system for...
It's a little bit terrifying.
Yeah, it's...
Stalker!
It's really evolving in that department. But another thing that they're going to be having is Meet New Friends, a Meet New Friends feature, which is also an opt-in element where if you want to get to know more people, in your area, that
maybe
you can opt in,
town.
and now you'll be, I guess, discoverable sort of for if you want to meet for people. And then there will also be an events feature so that you can see what's happening around you. So if you want to connect with people, so I think they're really trying to augment the relationships that you're building with people, in Facebook and helping them, I guess, affect your offline life as well in a meaningful way.
It kind of reminds me, do you guys know that app Nextdoor?
Yes.
That's gotten big recently, right?
Yeah.
That's about your neighborhood. You have to actually apply to be in it and prove that you live in that neighborhood. It feels like Facebook's sort of taking a cue from Nextdoor about the close proximity of the people you interact with. See events near you, find friends near you. Like they're really looking at this sort of from a geographical bent. Trying to take advantage of that, which I guess is useful.
Yeah, I think it's a push towards finding a happy balance between our digital world and our real world in this time, because we had an era before we were digital and everything was in the real world. People found their mates in the wild. Now people find their mates online, and now we're finding a happy medium. It looks like they're trying to bridge our offline life to our online life.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can use the word balance there. I think we're skewing towards the online, but okay.
I think it's coming from the fact that a lot of people who have grown up using social media are over it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, they want those, in-person, IRL experiences, right? And so maybe this is their attempt to say, use this as a tool in order to facilitate those types of interactions.
Yeah.
An attempt.
Yes. We'll see.
I mean, to be determined, right? Let's see how it plays out. When things change, you'll hear about it here first, so we can continue the conversation. And if you have questions or things to say about this, write them in the comments. We'll read those, and maybe we can have some dialogue. Stephen, we were talking about Messenger, and I said that a lot of people try to sell me stuff on Messenger.
Yes.
But selling on Messenger is a thing.
It is, absolutely.
Right? Like a lot of our e-commerce clients use Messenger as a part of that process.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about how that works and what you should be looking at there.
Well, so when you talk about Facebook advertising, there's a lot of different places that you can put an ad on the Facebook app, right? And so the most common one most people could probably see are in the news feed. It says a sponsored post, or even in the the right column or something like that. But there's a whole host of different places you can actually put ads. And one of those places is actually in the Messenger app of Facebook. And so I'm sure you've seen it if you use Messenger. I was just looking at mine, and an ad popped up for WeWork, right? It was like, have you outgrown your space? Go to WeWork, right? And so, so you can put your ad right in there. But one of the great things that you can do with that type of ad is if you have an e-commerce site and someone has abandoned their cart, you can actually do an ad on that cart abandonance to that person if they've abandoned those products, so that ad shows up in their Messenger. And the great thing about Messenger is it's not very cluttered, right? And
Not yet.
No, not yet. But you think about like email. People on average, they say, get 100 to 120 emails a day. Katie, I know yours is more like 400 or 500, so you're on the above average side. And then if you think about it in the news feed, you're competing with stuff in the news feed in the right-hand column. And so Messenger, there's far fewer messages and things going on there. And so it's a better click-through rate. You typically get a better absorption, people actually looking at it and interacting with it. And so setting it up is fairly simple. You have to have, it's called a Facebook Pixel. You put that on your website. You have to set up some parameters there. But once you do that, then you can actually target those who have put stuff in their cart and then left the site without purchasing, and target those particular people. And so what we've seen that has worked best is actually a combination of some retargeting ads, some general retargeting, and then those cart abandoned ads specifically. And so those two things combined can really help improve that rate of people actually, the conversion rate of people actually purchasing something, and lower the cart abandonment rate, and try to capture some of those people that you've already interacted with.
Can you just talk a little bit about what you said a combination of retargeting and Messenger. Talk a little bit about what retargeting is for people who don't know.
Yeah, retargeting is if someone goes to your website and then leaves, you show them an ad on Facebook or any other platform, but we're talking about Facebook specifically today. Show them an ad on Facebook just to those people who have visited your site and left. And so it's typically, an ad that is a little bit more familiar, like, if your initial ad to get them to the site was something more about your brand and getting them to know you, or something very specific to get them there, then the retargeting ad might be something that's a little bit more familiar, that that they've already been to your website, and so maybe it's a welcome, thanks for visiting, or come back, or check out this thing, or again, if they actually interacted and put something in their cart, hey, don't abandon your cart, check out these items, you left them there, come get them.
Or my favorite, here's 10% off to complete your purchase.
Yes, that too.
I see that one a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wait for it. Sometimes I put things in my cart and I wait to see.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. So anyway, so that's a type of ad that if you have an e-commerce site, especially, that can be really powerful and have a lot of impact.
Yeah. So if you happen to run an e-commerce store and you want to know more about these things, call us, email us. You can email us at tips@kwsmdigital.com, and we'll answer your questions, and we're happy to do an audit about the system you're running now and give you some tips for how to improve it. That's something we do a lot for people, so love to talk about it. We're going to be back here next week, the same time, 12:30 Pacific time, 3:30 Eastern time, next Tuesday. But if you need more social media news before then, we have a couple of resources. You can check out our blog. Our website is kwsmdigital.com, and we blog 8 times a week. So there are lots of new articles going up, written by all of our team. You can check that out. And also check out our YouTube channel. It's KWSM Team is the handle there. And we have past episodes of this show, so you can catch up on all the social media news. We have social media tips of the day and a lot of other videos there that you can look at as well. And then if you really want to dive into running your social better, coming up in June is our social media boot camp classes. We only teach these classes 3 times a year. June is one of those times. And it covers Facebook, Instagram and Pinterest, LinkedIn, and YouTube. 4 classes. You can attend all of them, or you can pick and choose. Go to our website, and there's a workshops tab there that you can get all the information about. But don't miss those, because they sell out every time, and we love to meet you and help you learn to run your social media better. Until then, we'll see you next week, and have a good day.
See you later.